Hey guys, my name is Matsumo, and welcome to our episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for today is, what do you think about the ranked rounds being reduced from 4 minutes to 3 minutes in Rainbow Six Siege? I know they said that they were just testing it, but it seems to take away from how tactical the game was, and it's turned into Rush on offense. This is probably one of the biggest changes that Ubisoft has made to Rainbow Six Siege. They've brought in a lot of new operators that has shifted the meta. They've buffed some of the old operators like Pulse. I remember Pulse being pretty much overpowered for a couple of weeks. That had a big impact on the way that we played the game, but it does not compare to dropping the time limit from 4 to 3. I gotta say though, and while I might be one of the few here, I have loved this change ever since it was released. When I first learned about this, I was much like you, where I thought the offensive team was going to have to scramble towards the objective, and they just wouldn't have enough time to tactically execute their plan. Now that I finally had my chance to play on it though, it feels like the game is less of a reliance on team deathmatch, where you're just trying to kill the enemy, and it has more of a focus on actually playing the objective. One thing that I never really liked about Ranked in the past was it felt like it was more of just a waiting game. Sure, some people would tactically move around the map, they would make callouts, they would methodically clear every single room, but a lot of the times it was just someone sitting outside of a window for about 2 minutes waiting for the defensive team to make some sort of mistake so that they could get an easy free kill. And I don't blame anyone for using this tactic, because why wouldn't you use that extra time? If you've got the time on offense, take advantage of it. It's a resource, and you should absolutely take advantage of that resource. You get a kill on offense, that's going to shift it into your favor, but for me personally, it was just really boring. I would not say that waiting outside of Garage on House, for example, for 2 minutes is any more tactical than waiting outside for 1 minute and then finally making your move on towards the objective. What it has done, though, is that it actually gets people to execute their plan to get on towards the objective itself. I have won more rounds by securing the area or planting the diffuser on bomb than I ever have in the past, and at least for me, that has been amazing. And so let me know what you guys think about these changes. I'm only one person, I only have my 2 cents, and so give me your thoughts. Do you love the change from 4 to 3 minutes? Do you think it's made the game less tactical? Do you think it's made the game more tactical because you actually have to execute your plan and it's less around team deathmatch? Give me your thoughts down below. The next question comes from Micah, and it is, do you think that the 1906 could use some loving in Battlefield 1? I think it should have a one-shot headshot kill potential on medium range, which would turn it into a more valid weapon. I absolutely agree with you on this one. The 1906, alongside the other medic weapons that only have access to about 5 rounds, are pretty much worthless. There is no reason to use these compared to something like the 1916 or the Mondra gun. They're significantly better, they have more ammo, they have basically the same damage output, and I know we've talked about this in past videos, but yes, the 1906 needs some sort of upgrade. They could make it where it is a one-shot headshot or a 2-shot body shot. That would work as well. That might be more extreme, but if you think, oh, that might be overpowered, it still only has 5 rounds. Like, sure, it might be able to kill you really quickly and maybe one other person, but the person who's using the 1906 needs to be skillful. They can't just pump a bunch of bullets down range and just get 2-shot body shots. They need to be very accurate, and that seems like a valid game mechanic. And so I'm right there with you on this one. It would make the gun way more interesting, a lot more skillful, because you would need to go for headshots if you want to be successful, and I would hope that they would take this same design philosophy to some of the other weapons in the game. The 1906 is the epitome of bad guns, but there are a lot of bad weapons in this game, and so while I know we've talked about this a lot in the past, I'm not going to go into extensive detail. I'm really hoping that DICE knows that there just isn't a lot of variety here, and that people are leaving the game for other ones because there just isn't a lot of content. And so, yep, I'm 100% on board with the idea of the 1906 to make it a little bit better, and this would be definitely an interesting way of going about it. The next question is, what do you think of a ban system in Rainbow Six Siege as it is in League of Legends? I think this will increase the variety of operators being used. For example, each team will have 2 bans per round. This could affect the tactics of the opponent's team greatly, and you'll have to adapt quickly to the situation. I don't really think that this is needed in Rainbow Six Siege, at least right now. Maybe in the future, if they support this game for 5 years, which I'm hoping for, they add in loads of new operators, they continue to support the game, we've got dozens upon dozens of new ones, then yeah, a ban system might be okay, but at least right now, if they added it, I think that it would have a lot of problems. Let's say, for example, the defensive team bans Hibana and Thermites. How are you going to get onto the objective? And while I know there has been rounds where your Thermite dies before he's able to get off his thermal charges and you're left trying to get in there normally, your team is at a severe disadvantage at that point. Those gadgets are really important for the offensive team, and if you don't have them, you're going to have a hard time winning that round. You could just say banning Thatcher would be a really big deal. If the only thing that the offensive team could rely on is a Twitch drone to be able to take out these gadgets, as long as the defenders are watching for that gadget, the offensive team is going to have a very difficult time getting past Mute and Bandit's battery. And so I think it's for this very reason that at least right now, we do not need a ban phase at all right now in Rainbow Six Siege. I do know where you're coming from, because it absolutely would make things more interesting. If you couldn't rely on the most used operators, you'd have to play someone as IQ, or you'd have to play someone you're not really comfortable with, and that would absolutely change up the meta. But right now, we just don't have enough operators. League of Legends has hundreds of champions to choose from. Dota has hundreds. Like, there's so many champions and heroes in these other games, and so it works there. I mean, you're banning 3 or 4 out of hundreds. We're nowhere near that right now in Rainbow Six Siege. And so while it's a very interesting concept, and I could see that happening in the future if they continue to add more and more and more, right now I don't think that it's a very good idea. The next question is, what do you think about a game mode in Battlefield 1 where it's straight dogfighting, like 16 versus 16 players dogfighting? You might be in luck. I think there was a rumor a while back ago that this is going to be a thing in Battlefield 1, and it's not just going to be 16 versus 16, it's going to be a 64-player game mode. Now, once again, this is just a rumor, so take it with a grain of salt, but I think they're going to be adding something like this in one of the upcoming DLC. Now, I know that some people are probably rolling their eyes at the idea of air superiority because it never did very well in like Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4, and especially 64 players, like that just sounds like chaos. But I think the reason why I'm a little looking forward to this, if it finally does happen, is that Battlefield 1's air combat is way more interesting compared to past Battlefield games. It's not just going to be a lock-on fest where as soon as you blow your countermeasures, you're going to get blown out of the sky because 1,000 rockets are going to fly at you. You're going to have to rely on your accuracy. You're going to have to rely on the accuracy of your tailgunner if you want to be successful. That on top of the dynamic damage, I think is going to make for an interesting game mode. Now, my hope is that if they do add this in, they don't just plop it in to the normal maps and then call it good. What I would love is if they made a map, or maybe a couple of maps, that are designed for this game mode specifically. Maybe have this in the middle of the mountains or some really large canyons where you can break line of sights. If it's just an open sky and that's all it is, well, yeah, it's realistic. It might run into the same problems that we had in the past where it's just too chaotic, there's too much things going on, and you're not able to control what's happening, and you just get taken out in a couple of seconds, and it's not really all that enjoyable. But if there are things that kind of break up the combat and bring it into more of an intimate or one-on-one or 2 versus 2 or something like that, that could make the game mode also more interesting. And so all in all, I'm right there with you. As long as DICE has learned their lesson from past Battlefield games and has tried to make the necessary changes to resolve these issues, I think it could be a lot of fun. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we discussed in today's video. Do you agree with me that there isn't enough weapon variety in Battlefield 1? Do you think it's perfect? Do you think I should just shut my mouth and I have no idea what I'm talking about, and you think the guns are flawless the way that they are? Or do you think that there should be some changes? Let me know down below. As always, if you would like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can also do so by leaving a comment down below or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. But yeah, guys, until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.